If you are new to charcoal grilling, this is the one tool that you need to have, and that is a charcoal chimney. Now, I've been barbecuing and grilling in the backyard for over 20 years. Started a business about 5 years ago, Burn Pit BBQ, and we have a blog and recipes and tips like that where we share just information for beginners, and we specifically target new grillers and barbecuers that use charcoal. We've done everything in the past from stick burners, charcoal, gas, propane, spits, and all that kind of stuff. So why a chimney? Now I have kind of like five reasons why you should consider using a charcoal chimney instead of maybe lighter fluid. And growing up in the 80s and 90s, I can always still remember my grandpa cooking over charcoal, but spraying it with lighter fluid, and you're playing in the street, in the yard, football and basketball and all this kind of stuff, and you just smell, you have the lighter fluid smell, and you associate that with barbecuing and grilling. But as I've gotten older and started doing it for myself, I've really found that the chimney is probably the best way to go to get to start your charcoal up. So if you're just new, if you're just starting out, I've got 5 reasons I want to talk about here. The first one is that a chimney is really easy to get started. Basically, all I have to do is fill it up with charcoal, put it in the basket, put something underneath to light it, and then it's good to go. So pretty simple, things that I put under there to get started. Usually I'll just find some newspaper or some paper, maybe some cardboard to get it started. I know that you can go and you can get actual fire starters. I know they make cubes and things like that to put underneath it. So you can do that as well. But anything laying around the house that catches on fire, you can usually use to start that. So it's quick and easy. It's not that hard to do. Anybody can really do it. Fill up the chimney with as much charcoal as you need, and then also then just the bottom part, put some things in there that can start on fire, and then light it, and then make sure that it starts to go. Some mistakes I've made in the past is, maybe I'll be doing a bunch of other things and I'll light it and I'll walk away from the chimney without confirming, making sure the actual coals have gotten lit. So I'll come back later, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and my fire's gone out, my coals aren't lit. So you got to make sure that you stick around at least to make sure that the fire is going and it's enough to get the charcoal started at the bottom. So otherwise, if you walk away and it doesn't get started, it's not that big of a deal. You just start it up again. But if you're on a time limit, or if you got a certain time that you want to be done by, it might set you back a little bit. So just keep that in mind. The second thing is it's really even heating. So as the charcoal lights up in the chimney, comes from the bottom, flames come up, and then it starts to heat the coals there. It's a lot more even heating than, let's say that you put your coals on the bottom of a charcoal grill, and then you start squirting lighter fluid all over it, and then you light it. You can't really predict which coals are going to start and which aren't. Here I know that the coals on the bottom are going to start first, and then it's going to continue to go all the way up until the top ones are lit. So it's a great way to make sure that the coals that you're going to be dumping out to the bottom are all lit and it's even heating throughout, as opposed to using lighter fluid. You don't know which ones are going to heat. You might have cold spots, you might have hotter spots within the charcoal range. So you don't want to do that. It makes for an even cook, and make sure that whatever you're cooking then is evenly cooked as well. Now, the third thing is the thing I talked about before is there's no chemical smell to it. Now, I know a lot of us love that smell. I certainly have good memories of that when, I was a child, growing up. Like I said, my grandfather used, lighter fluid to start the grill and make burgers and hot dogs and things like that. But, now that I have kids of my own and, I cook for them, I want to make sure that we don't have any of that chemical smells on it. And, as I'm walking through the neighborhood now, I still smell it all the time. And I just want to go and knock on their door and be like, hey, get yourself a chimney. Because it's just a better way, a cleaner way to start the coals. Now, number 4, which is one of the reasons I really love using a chimney, is its durability. So I've had this one for years and years and years. I did have one before this. Like I said, I've been, grilling and barbecuing in the backyard for over, 20 years or so. So I had one that finally, like, the handle broke off, because I used it so many times, and that was after like a decade. So this one I've had for almost about, 8 to 9 years here as well. It's well put together. It's by Weber, and I'll put a link in the comments so you can see which one I'm using. I've been using it. I use it all the time. You use it weekly. Very sturdy, very strong, and you can find a bunch out there. But that's the one I use. It's very durable. I can get lots of cooks out of it. Like I said, like I've been using this one for years and years and years. And you buy one time, and maybe you only have to buy a few within your own lifetimes because they're so durable, and they're easy to find too. Like you could probably go out to your local hardware store to find one and pick one up. If yours breaks or whatever, like I could just go down to the hardware store and find one. So pretty easy to find, but I use the Weber one. It's very sturdy, and there's a lot of other great ones out there as well. So very durable. And then the last one, like 5 reasons I think you should get a chimney. Number 5, improved control. As I mentioned before, like with the chimney, it stays contained in here. So as I'm lighting it, it stays within this this container. So I know I have control over it that way. Now, obviously, if you're lighting it, you want to make sure that's in a safe spot away from anything else that's flammable, because this will get hot. And I can put as much charcoal in there or as little charcoal in there as I need. So like if I'm doing like a short cook, like just maybe some steaks or some burgers or something like that, maybe I'll just fill it up a little bit, like a quarter of the way. And I can control how much you put in there because I don't need that much charcoal to get my grill hot. And then if it's a quick cook, I don't need a lot of charcoal and I don't need to waste it. And if I have a longer cook, or maybe I'm doing something bigger where it's going to take a longer time, or maybe I have a bigger, just a bigger surface area that I need to cover, I could fill that up. So with the charcoal chimney, it's a lot easier to maintain that control over the space as well as how much fuel you're using, because as we know, like the cost of charcoal continues to go up over and over again. So we want to make sure we're not wasting those coals, and we're only using what we need. So that's another reason I love using the charcoal chimney. There's some other reasons as well. If you have any reasons, feel free to put them in the comments or let us know why you love using a charcoal chimney. But like I said before, like if you're just getting started in barbecue and grilling and charcoal grilling, pick yourself up one of those charcoal chimneys, because it's probably the best way to get started. It's easy to do. You don't have those chemicals and things like that. Now, if you did find this helpful and you are still just getting started, we did create like a time and temperature gauge. So like it lists out like all the meats and things like that, and the temperature you should be looking for when you're cooking them. And then also we did some like a pairing guide. So like if you're smoking meats or you're doing some indirect grilling and you're throwing some wood chips on there or something like that, we have a guide for that as well, which shows you and tells you what wood smoke pairs best with what type of food you're cooking. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and type out temp in the comments, and that's just TEMP. Type that out in the comments and we'll send that over to you. But if you're just starting, get out there and grill. That's the best way to do it. Get out there and learn. Make mistakes. It's just about repetition. It's getting out there and trying new things. Start small. We always say start small. So get like some cheap, burgers or hot dogs or something like that. So you're not starting off like I did, making a brisket right away, and it didn't go so well. But I'll probably talk about that one in a different video. But if you're interested in more and learn about kind of what we're doing here, check out our podcast where we talk about what we're doing in the backyard, what we're learning, because we like to try new things too. But get out there and grill and get yourself a chimney.